afternoon. This is just to give you an update on the Horizons project, which, as you know, has now launched. Probably some of you may well have received emails in the last sort of 24 hours from me with some opportunities that are already live. We first spoke to you about the Horizons project back in September when we had one of our careers leaders meetings and talked about how this is a project that we're running to support Key Stage 3 students, disadvantaged Key Stage 3 students. And when we talk about disadvantage, we're talking that in the widest remit possible. So any young person who you feel has a barrier when it comes to potentially moving on to their next step at the end of year 11. So it could be a young person with SEND, it could be someone on free school meals, someone who's at risk of becoming NEET, someone who for behavioural issues isn't getting out onto as many of those opportunities as possible. So the opportunities through the Horizons program's working with Duck2 on it, and I'll introduce Gem in a second. But they tend to be for small groups of students. We say 5. There might be a little bit of negotiation in that with employers, but we certainly wouldn't say increasing that beyond 8 students, because I think to really ensure that those students get the most out of that visit, we want to keep those groups fairly small. But I'm going to hand over to Gem, who's going to tell you everything about it. This is fully funded by us at the Hub. So there is completely free for schools, but Gem will fill you in on all the details of how many we've got and how you can go about taking part.
Well, thanks ever so much, Nikki. Good afternoon, all. Can I just confirm, are you mainstream, AP or special, you guys? Well, you're all special.
They're all mainstream.
All mainstream. Okay, super.
At the moment.
Because I think there's a slightly different focus. I think I'll go through a quick PowerPoint, but I am, and I'm aware that there are challenges in every setting, but there are potentially challenges from curriculum and sheer size of mainstream settings in getting everything booked, transport, etc. Can I ask, are you all full-time careers leads, or do you have teaching briefs as well?
I'm Linda Williams at Bartholomew. I'm part-time, but I don't teach. So I'm purely careers.
Gotcha, Linda. Thank you.
Judy Hills. I'm at Maidenhead Tilton Edge. I'm full-time, but I also teach, and I'm assistant head for a lot of other things. So it's a very small part of my brief.
Gotcha. I'll come back to the assistant head bit as well. Alison, are you full-time from a careers point of view? Gotcha. So are all of you on senior leadership team in the room?
No.
Okay. Sorry, Alice, I'm firing a question. Don't know if your mic's not on or but if you can just let me know. The reason I ask that is that it's we find definitely if we've got senior leadership buy into this, the process is much easier. Oh, brilliant. Okay. So I'll come back to the reason I asked those questions in a sec. If I just share my screen and run through this PowerPoint, I promise I will try not to have death by PowerPoint. I really do. At the end of the day, that would be unfair. Okay, so we are Duck2, and really we are an employer engagement organisation. It's really all we do. So we manage to avoid all of the rest of the issues you guys have in schools, but we focus all of our attention on, I hope, doing the thing that many careers leaders tell us is the most difficult part of getting the kids out to work, which is the employer engagement piece. So we focus on that, but very specifically for 3 groups of kids, really, and I think this is relevant for this project as well as our other projects. So we consider SEND to be as broad a possible term as a school makes it. So speaking to any one of your teachers, we'll obviously have EHCP kids, diagnosed kids, and then potentially undiagnosed. We are including that group as well. So if you've got a teacher or one of your staff who feels that one of these kids could benefit within Key Stage 3 in this particular project, we are including them. We include all alternative provision students, and I've put pupil premium kids in there, actually any kids that are at disadvantage, at risk of becoming NEET, so not necessarily just pupil premium. So the idea of this and the reason employers get involved in this is entirely social mobility. So if you can just consider that when you are deciding which kids, that'd be great. We are, I suppose, with this project, we're doing something quite specific. So we're trying to arrange specific dated workplace visits, where, generally speaking, I think Nikki glossed over, or touched on this, sorry, that we are looking for opportunities for 5 young people, and usually about 2 hours. Now, the 2 hours is approximate, and we sometimes we have an employer say we're just too small, it would only take an hour and a half, or we've got loads to do, it'll probably take 2.5 hours. And again, you see that when you're looking at these projects. The reason we stick with 5 young people is we think it's probably the sweetest spot number, that the kids get to interact a lot. So any more than 5, there is the potential of kids getting put to the back of the class, if you like. And also it's an easy-ish number for any employer's site. So stake in the ground is 5 kids, 2 hours. We have had a request this morning that from a mainstream setting who'd got 7 kids in a particular group, where they said, can we take 7? We went to the employer and the employer said that's fine. So there's a certain degree of flexibility for you to come back to us. I think critically, all of the opportunities that we put in front of you are agreed and arranged. So nothing is as it says there, nothing is speculative. We are taking care of, hopefully, all of the communication in advance with that employer. And again, schools tell us that's a bit of a chore. When we've got all day to do it without the rest of the school stuff, it's what we focus on. So we will do all of the communication with the employer in advance. We arrange to collect their site risk assessment from them and we send it to you. We arrange to collect their insurance documents and we send those to you. So in theory, you don't have to talk to the employer at all before your visit. I would suggest, anecdotally, about 80% of the schools that we work with don't communicate with the employer in advance. However, all of the employers are told to expect a call if the school wants to talk to them. So if you've got a particular group of kids that you want to talk to the employer about, they would be expecting your call if you want to. So when you book one of these, you're given all of the contact details. So, however, what we need to make sure is that the process works for you. And this is really where I was asking you about your waiting for your careers within your role and whether you're on senior leadership team. We will send an email out when we get a booking. We send an email to the hub, to Nikki. Nikki will then forward that to one or more schools, dependent on geography, etc. Which schools we send it to. Potentially as well, if somebody's had several visits, we'll probably try and then divvy them out to other schools as well. So what we would ask for you is, if you can, when you get that email, we'd like you to click it as quickly as is feasible and sensible, really. So we appreciate absolutely that you have got to do transport has got to be sorted, cover. This is why I was asking whether you're mainstream. Obviously, in a mainstream setting, the curriculum is more of a challenge than in a special school, for example. So we are very mindful of your challenges internally, but we would ask if you can click these to book them as quickly as possible. Reason for that is that if you can't do it, we want to get them to other people for obvious reasons. But also when we book something, we always give you 6 weeks notice. I say always, mostly. Some places may have a specific date that they want to do a visit, and we put that to you. But generally speaking, you'll get 6 weeks notice. So if, for example, we send it out to you guys and nothing is clicked for a week, and then we send it out to a new set of schools, and again, it takes a week, we're starting to get closer and closer and closer to the event. And I think history tells us that if we get within 4 weeks, it starts to become a challenge that you feel it's too close then as schools. So we would ask you if you can be mindful of that and click these links as quickly as possible. I think one of the things that we are trying to bring to the table is a visibility for the young people in question of lots of sectors and what those sectors mean. And what we find generally with kids of this sort of age is they don't make the link between various sectors, skills, what they do, what it means. So 3 examples I've given there, that we may arrange a visit to garden centre, solicitors and an engineering firm. And the kids' perception of those 3 sites will be quite narrow, probably, that a garden centre is outdoors and a solicitor has got degree level jobs only and an engineer has got, it's dirty, I don't want to do it. But in actual fact, when we can take them and demonstrate at all of these sites, they could all have similar roles. HR, legal and marketing are the examples there. They all have jobs that come from different levels and different academic achievement. So those kids that we're taking that may not achieve I'm going to show my age now, 5A star to C. In fact, it was 5A to C. I should probably say from showing my age, but whatever it is now, 9 to whatever it is, I lose track. But also that we ask all of the employers to make each of the visits suitable for the audience. So we start to look at what entry-level positions there are. We don't minimise the qualifications, you'll be pleased to know, as educators, but we also do let them know that they can potentially go into areas that they may consider closed to them. And also the value of skills, the value that softer skills, transferable skills, essential skills, whatever they're called this week, are valued by the employer, and the commonality between them. So which is what we're trying to achieve with different sectors. So we hope that you look at these sectors. It may be that, I mean, one of the most popular visit that we've done recently is a tree surgeon down in Devon. Kids have absolutely loved it. And I have never been asked by a school to get more workplace visits in a tree surgeon. However, it's opened everybody's minds, and everybody now looks at that goes there as the amount of things that are happening. So it's trying to bring lots of different sectors, variable sectors. This is the process then. So you will receive an email very similar to that from Nikki. You can see there that in this case, St Moritz Hotel have just offered one date. If St Moritz had offered 2 or 3 dates, they would be listed there. If you click accept this date, it takes you to a page that looks like this and asks you if you're an existing user of Duck2 or new to Duck2. You guys, I think, forgive me if I'm wrong and you have logged in, but you'll presumably all be new to Duck2. So you click get started. It then takes you to a sign up, which is ever so simple, just your contact details, a password that you're going to use to log into the system. Now, critical thing on here is you need to start typing the name of your school. So if you click this, oops, let me just get rid of that, sorry. If you click, oops-a-daisy, this arrow at the side of select a school, it then takes you to a list of schools. What you need to do is type into here. Now this data is about probably 2 years old from Department of Education. So can any of you let me know in the chat or at the end of this if the school name has changed? Because you'll start to type your school and you won't appear, but you'll type your school and then you can click the school, put your details in, and then you're logged in. And every time subsequently, when you get an opportunity, you just click sign in. We'll come to questions in a minute, so if that's okay. So I think there's a consideration that we're trying to do 2 things here. Firstly, and most obviously, we're trying to find high quality, relevant, suitable, interesting, engaging workplace visits for the kids who may miss out on them in the normal run of things. That's the core of what we're trying to do. However, we are very much trying to make this an easier process for you as the staff who are tasked with doing this. And we need to know if you agree with that, if you think what we're doing is right, or if you want to make changes. I hope Nikki would agree to this. When schools or hubs are asking us to make changes in the process, we are really open to suggestion. We've just added a new column into the reporting that has made visibility easier of the project, so we make changes as we go. But the idea is very simple, that we do all of the cold calling, all of the communication with the employer. We reckon about 85% of the admin, working out the times, confirming all of the dates. We also maintain the relationship afterwards, so you haven't even got to worry about doing that. We will continue to do that. And ideally, you get the kids there and you feel that this is an easy process to achieve, or benchmark 3 potentially, but definitely benchmark 6. One thing that we would ask you to do is not to book any other stuff with the employers. Quite often we have 2 or 3 opportunities with each employer, and what we've had in the past, only once actually, where a school had a great visit, which we love, and they got on very well with the employer, and they booked another visit. The employee got slightly confused, booked it into one of the dates that we'd booked another school, and both schools turned up. So what we would ask you is that if you enjoyed it, let us know, and we'll book more for you. The other thing, just on a sort of housekeeping note, we have had a relatively I mean, I say a sizable number, 1% probably, of schools not turning up and not letting us know. And that does cause a problem, as you can imagine, with employers. We lost one employer because they said if the school aren't going to turn up, we're not going to offer our time. They'd actually got some neurodivergent colleagues from another branch to come in for that day. So they were very disappointed. So what we would ask is that you let us know. We appreciate things could go wrong 5 minutes before you get the kids on the minibus. We absolutely understand that. But please do let us know so that we can give the courtesy of letting the employer know. There is a no-show, the hub may ask you to pay the 111 quid that they have paid for booking this. So that's obviously something to the hub will talk to you about, but just to make you aware of that. And I think really from a conclusion, so we only send visits to you that are already arranged, agreed, and are ready for you to book. As I mentioned, we do all of the communication and the admin. Actually, that's slightly wrong there. You'll get at least 6 weeks if you click the link quickly. Aim to help with benchmarks 3, to a certain degree 5, and definitely 6. The thing that we would ask you to do is consider that we're not telling you which students to put onto this. So we really want you to find the hardest to reach students, the placements, and give those to them. We'll also let you know of any other opportunities outside potentially of this work and tell you about those. And you can come to us directly if you want more opportunities. There's of course the cost attached to that, but if you have had 2 or 3 visits through the hub and you desperately want some more, you can come to us direct if you wish. So I'll stop sharing. I hope that wasn't too much death by PowerPoint. Oops, I've lost my